All right. So this is the top 10 creepiest serial killers ever. Let's get right into it. Let's go.
Number 10. The Corpse Collector. A Russian historian was caught after robbing the graves of 29 young girls and then taking their corpses home, where he turned the bodies into dolls. Anatoly Moskvin, 53, also expressed no remorse about his activities and refused to apologize to the parents of the deceased girls, claiming, "You left them in the cold. I took them home to keep them warm."
Oh, nah, this man is a savage. What the fuck? This man's crazy. He had a one-liner just waiting. Dexter is number one. You think so?
The mummified remains of the girls were covered in masks, and he dressed them and applied makeup to them as well. One of the stranger aspects of this case, and there are obviously many, Moskvin actually shared his home with his parents. His parents told authorities they had absolutely no idea that he was collecting bodies and turning them into giant dolls. They just thought that
these motherfuckers are lying. In a way, they're goated parents for like, you know, like, hey, I'm not snitching on my son, but yo, if he's doing some shit like that and you didn't know, come on now, dog. You lying.
Large dolls were part of an unusual hobby. During the days of the Soviet Union, Moskvin worked as a translator for military intelligence. He went on after the collapse of the Soviet Union to write history books. He had a deep comprehension of biology and apparently of cemeteries. Over the years, he dug up many corpses, brought them home, dressed them in clothing, and kept them preserved in his own house. He even celebrated
some Ed Gein shit,
macabre parties. The Corpse Collector was captured in 2011 when he confessed to 44 counts of abusing graves. He was moved to a mental institution, and as recently as 2020, there were discussions of releasing him as his schizophrenia was reportedly cured.
Dog, there has to be a talk about people and then being actual crazy or whatever, because we can't, dude. The fact that you're crazy will allow you to do crazy shit, but that doesn't mean that you should get away with doing crazy shit because you're crazy. I don't know. Am I tripping or what?
The judge in the case overturned the appeal, and he remains in custody. Number 9. The Soapy Killer. Italian serial killer Leonarda Cianciulli was born in 1894.
Leonarda?
She got married in the 1930s, opened up a little shop in the small town of Correggio, and started selling soap. Leonarda's shop may have been doing all right.
Oh, she was washing the blood off her hands. You get it? You get it?
She served a short jail sentence for committing fraud. Okay. Her home was destroyed in an earthquake, and she was constantly battling with her parents about her marriage, which they didn't approve of. Not only that, but Leonarda was experiencing major fertility issues. She'd been pregnant 17 times, but of the 17 children, 3 died due to miscarriage, and 10 died during early childhood. She became incredibly
17 times? Yo, man, she was putting out, brother.
Superstitious about her children.
Holy.
Also became more deeply
13 of them died, though.
in
That's
fortune telling,
crazy.
palm reading, and tarot, a childhood interest of hers. It was during a meeting with another fortune teller,
so she was a witch.
Her remaining 4 children would also die, that she was told that the only way to prevent her still living children from dying was to start sacrificing people. Leonarda was frightened, but she didn't start the human sacrifices right away.
How did she come to that conclusion?
In 1939, her son told her he was joining the military. This pushed Leonarda into action, and she began luring women back to her soap shop.
What the? Oh, that was soap. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
And killing them in an effort to keep her surviving children safe. How did she kill these women, and what did she do with them? That's the true horror of it. She first tricked the women into going into her shop by promising to tell their fortune or offering to help them find whatever they were looking for.
Yo, see, this chick was doing everything. She was selling soap and fortune telling and killing people, dude. She was doing everything, dude.
Telling one victim she could help them find a husband. She drugged her victims with spiked wine. Then she killed each woman with an axe and boiled their body in caustic soda. She then used her victims' flesh and fat to make soap that she sold in her store.
That's crazy work.
Soap to her neighbors, her friends, and anyone who would pay for them. She also used some of her victims' fat to make cakes, which she ate. But her killing spree ended after just a third victim. A witness saw the victim going into her soap shop and then never coming out. When police went to investigate, she confessed everything and was arrested. Number 8.
How? Three kills in deep, though? She was 3 kills in deep before she got caught, dog.
Food for work.
Third kill.
In the United Arab Emirates, a Moroccan woman went seriously off the deep end. Back in 2018, she suffered a fit of insanity in which she killed her boyfriend of 7 years and then cooked him. According to a report from the BBC, her boyfriend had been planning on leaving her. He
what
was
is up with people cooking
to
people?
Marry a different woman from Morocco, and this naturally upset the unnamed killer. Feeling like a thrown-away piece of trash, she murdered her boyfriend, cut him into pieces, ground up his flesh in a blender, and turned him into a traditional Moroccan dish with rice and...
Okay. And I'm not too smart. But do you know how long it would take to fucking chop up a body in a blender? Like, dude, like a whole body? What? You know how long that would take?
Vegetables.
And to make it into a dish is crazy.
By Pakistani construction workers and watched them eat it. This part of the killing goes beyond unwarranted. The construction workers were made to eat a person without their knowledge and were likely completely horrified. Why she went to this extent of...
Dude, that is crazy work, brother. I hope these ain't fake stories, dude, because they're showing a bunch of like random ass photos. So I don't even know if these are true or not. We would have to look them up. But still crazy nonetheless. And what the fuck is people cooking people for? What the
Horror
hell?
is beyond understanding. It was the murdered boyfriend's brother who ended up solving the case. When he went looking for his missing
shout out to his brother,
he found a single tooth sitting in a blender in the woman's house. He phoned the police. DNA tests confirmed the tooth belonged to the victim, and she broke down and confessed. Last we heard,
she broke down and confessed. She broke down, but she was breaking down bodies, or breaking down her boyfriend's body, her brother's brother's body. Huh? And she got to break down and cry, dude. Crazy as it sounds, dog. If it were me, I don't know about her fate, dog. That's all I'm saying.
Hospital. Number 7.
The fact that she walked away, in a sense, and went to a mental hospital is unruly. That's the word I'm going to use.
Gein's furniture
7.
Horror. When it comes to killers who made a career out of crafting things from the remains of their victims, Ed Gein holds the title of most.
We did a whole thing about it.
When authorities raided Ed's house back in the 1950s, they found so much horror that it's hard to even describe.
Yes.
Ed had a fascination with decapitation, necrophilia, and arts and crafts. He started out as a fairly ordinary resident of Plainfield, Wisconsin, but when his mother died, he really went off the rails. He had been oddly obsessed with his mother and didn't seem able to process the fact that she was gone. In the mid-1950s, when Ed was alone and confused, residents of Plainfield began...
For the people that did not see that video on my YouTube, you need to check it out. 2, let me just give you a fun fact. This nigga was dressing up in full bodysuits outside and pretending to be his mother. I'm not kidding, brother.
Going missing. By 1957, the police had linked Ed to both Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden, both of whom had vanished. When the police went into Ed's house, they found suits, lampshades, and chairs made from human skin, masks made from people's faces, a belt crafted of human nipples, and several human organs stuffed into jars. Not only
nipple belts are crazy, and he was saving vaginas, brother.
Multiple local women. He had also been digging up graves at the nearby cemetery, using the bodies of the recently deceased in his arts and crafts experiments.
Yes.
The man who is credited as being the inspiration for the killer Buffalo Bill in the movie Silence of the Lambs was later found guilty of murder and criminally insane. He died in captivity in 1984. Number 6. Old Lady Killer. Ed Gein may have been one of the most notorious serial
murderers. I was like, damn, back to back.
Juana Barraza Samperio is a criminal mastermind. She is currently spending the rest of her days locked up in the Santa Marta de Acatitla prison in Mexico. The
Okay,
reason
what
for
she
her
do? What
incarceration,
she do, dog? What she do?
killed at least 48 people. She's known as the Little Old Lady Killer when still living on the outside.
Low key, not saying, hey, look, hey, no one should be doing none of this. But an old lady is the person that you would at least expect of doing that shit. Am I crazy? Right or wrong? Right or wrong?
She spent her days selling popcorn and occasionally fighting in wrestling matches. The rest of her time, she
An
was
old-ass
hunting
lady
and
in
killing
wrestling
elderly
matches.
women. According to the Mexican authorities, Juana killed nearly 50 people in Mexico City between the 1990s and January 25th, 2006.
Damn!
She only got caught when a neighbor witnessed her leaving the scene of a crime. Although the cops couldn't get evidence for every murder, they did manage to pin her in 17 of them. These 17 murders alone earned her 759 years in jail. During her trial, it came out that Juana was a psychopath incapable of feeling remorse. She actually thought she was helping society by getting rid of elderly women, likely because of the trauma she experienced in her own childhood.
Wait, I thought she was an old woman. No, she's just out here killing old women.
When Juana was just a young girl, her mother would trade her to dangerous men for things like beer and cash. When she grew up, she took that hate of her mother and transformed it into something evil, lashing out at older women, perhaps because they reminded her of her mother. And number 5, serial killing Santa. Bruce MacArthur was seen on the outside as a happy man. Those that knew him described him as outgoing, friendly, and even jovial. He had white hair, a white beard, and played the perfect Santa Claus.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never heard of the serial killer Santa, dog, but let's find out. Let's see how jolly this man really is. Let me guess. He was kidnapping people, but he was doing it by sneaking in chimneys.
Was at the Agincourt Mall in Toronto as recently as 2016. He was a 66-year-old landscaper who posed as Santa during the holidays, and it seems that he loved children. What no one knew was that Bruce had a bizarre attraction to the dead. Not only did he have an obsession with dead bodies, but he was also a serial killer. As a landscaper, Bruce used his cover to bury the bodies of his victims in his customers' gardens. While his clients thought he was simply creating beautiful landscapes, he was actually turning them into secret graveyards.
From a strategic standpoint, this is actually pretty smart. The cover-up is crazy. Who would expect one, Secret Santa to be doing that stuff? And then two, dude, he's doing everybody's yard, so they can't possibly trace it back. I mean, they could, but they're more going to be thinking like, hey, there's a dead person in this person's yard. You guys did he's planning murder on everybody.
In 2010 and 2017, Bruce MacArthur murdered 8 men that we know of. His targets were the homeless, the destitute, and immigrants in the predominantly gay neighborhood of Church and Wellesley.
Okay,
Bruce's
so he was
method
racist.
Of killing is what will really give you chills.
All right, not racist, but you know what I mean.
Was his preferred method. He would wrap a rope around his victim's throat, then use a metal bar to tighten the ligature. Once his victim had stopped breathing, Bruce would then do a photo shoot. He would dress up his victims in things like fur coats, sometimes positioning them as if still alive, with one victim even photographed with a cigar hanging out of his mouth. When Bruce was...
What the hell? What is wrong with people? Like, I just don't know, like, because you feel like an obsession or something has to, like, come from something. Like, where did this come from, dude?
Finally caught by the police, authorities in Toronto had to check out 75 properties in search of remains. Bruce had concealed many.
He's doing dress to impress with dead bodies, dog.
He had worked on as a landscaper. How do you think you'd react if the police told you they needed to inspect your yard for human remains? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Number 4. The Torso Murders. From 1935 to 1938, between 12 and 13 bodies were found dumped in Cleveland's Kingsbury Run. The area is a creek bed that runs through the city down to the Cuyahoga River. The victims included at least 7 men and 5 women, most of whom were unhoused or sex workers. These unfortunate people were living far below the poverty line in the days when Cleveland was still suffering from the impacts of the Great Depression. Most of the individuals weren't reported missing for months after their disappearances, sometimes not even until their bodies were found. What makes these murders especially disturbing was the fact that every single body was found without a head or limbs. The only parts of the remains that turned up were the torsos of the victims.
Damn. So they wouldn't, dude, they put them motherfuckers on a goose hunt. You couldn't even find out who did it. Like, you couldn't, I mean, you know what I mean?
After over 80 years, this is still the most gruesome crime spree in the history.
That is crazy work.
The killer is known today as the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, and believe it or not, he or she has never been identified by the police. The killings only stopped when the killer presumably lost interest, moved, or died. Even years after the torsos stopped turning up, authorities still were unable to locate all the heads. To this day, no one knows what the Mad Butcher did with the heads and the limbs of their victims. Number 3.
Let me just say, dog, them limbs are long gone, brother. He either buried them, burned them, ate them, who knows? Because everybody's cooking and shit, nigga. He probably ate them, fucking. Who knows?
3. The Bone Collector. In Mexico, authorities recently discovered approximately 3,787 bone fragments that they say
that's a little bit
17
excessive.
Different murder victims. The killer in this story was a bone collector. He had a fascination with killing and dismembering. The Mexican authorities have not been able to release his identity, but they do say that by the time they caught up to him, he was 72 years old.
70!
The cops actually arrested this serial murderer in connection with the killing of a 34-year-old woman, whom he reportedly cut up with a hacksaw. It was when they began looking at his home that they discovered the true scope of his crimes. During careful excavations, the police found the bones and bone fragments, as well as 91 photographs.
You gotta think 3,000 bones. How many? Like, he was either finding bones and collecting them, because there's no way he killed that many people. But 2, like, damn, dude. Like, dude, 72, give it up, brother.
Cell phones, a bucket full of women's jewelry, and actual videotape of the man murdering his victims. He had been dismembering his victims, cutting them up so small that he had pieces of them hidden all throughout his house. The police were shocked and horrified when they realized the extent of the crime. As of right now, the police are still trying to extract DNA from the bone fragments to identify the victims, many of which are probably missing people. In the meantime, the identity of this prolific serial murderer has still not been released. Number 2.
Why though? Dude, see, that to me is even crazier than, it's not crazier than the story itself, but it makes me think that it, like, the person is like a prominent person. 72 years old. You know who's that old? Politicians, dog. What if this person was like within some type of government, dog, and they can't release it, dude? I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe he was a hitman. Maybe he was just a normal ass 72-year-old dude. But why are we not releasing it, dog? You out here finding bones and he's chopping up people and you can't know the nigga's name?
2. Human burgers. Joe Metheny, much like Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy, was a truly gruesome killer. But for some strange reason, despite the horror of his crimes, he is not as well known. If you're one of those people who haven't heard of him, get ready to be shocked. Joe was arrested in Baltimore back in December of 1996.
Not too long ago.
Police knew he was responsible for at least 3 murders. But after he was convicted of these murders, he finally spilled the beans that he killed at least 10 people. He also admitted that he was a cannibal, and that he served his victims to unsuspecting patrons of his burger stand. He would take the meat from people he killed and mix it with pork or beef, or simply use it as it was. And
there ain't no way.
Joe told the authorities that not a single person could seem to taste the difference between regular burgers and those made with his victims. Joe was given several life sentences to be served continuously and without the possibility of parole. Since his arrest, however, he has repeatedly begged for the death sentence. In an interview, Joe told the press that the only thing he regrets about his killing spree is that he was caught before he had the opportunity to kill the two people he really wanted, his ex-girlfriend and the guy she replaced him with.
Dog, you mad about that, brother? That should have been on your first part of your list, but nah, you was out here going to work selling human burgers to people, dog. See, what is wrong with these niggas? Like, I know there's something wrong with them, but like, I'm so curious now, like, because how the fuck does this even come to be? Like, this is crazy. Number one has to be insane. We're talking, it has to be insane. Like,
Number 1, boyfriend stew. Catherine Knight killed her boyfriend and then turned him into a stew. For this bizarre crime, she became the first Australian...
Okay, I don't know how this is the craziest one. I mean, that one chick was putting her fucking boyfriend in a blender. This chick's making a stew. Like, cool. But then you got the nigga that was collecting bones. And then you got, like, Jeffrey Dahmer making fucking faces out of chairs and shit and nipple belts and shit. Like,
Australian woman to receive a life sentence without parole. The terrible murder came after a lifetime of toxic relationships. Catherine's life and relationships were plagued with abuse, violence, and frightening fits of temper. In 1995, she moved in with John Price, the man who she would eventually murder. According to friends and family, she had wanted to marry him, but John declined. When he refused to get married, Catherine turned violent. In 2000...
Okay, wait a second. Over marriage? If she was being abused, why would she want to get married? She was trying to take everything from him, and then she was going to dip. But since that didn't work out, she said, fuck it, I just have to kill him. That's the only way to get rid of him.
The pair argued, and Catherine tried to stab him in the chest. Price had to get a restraining order against her, but they later reconciled. Price, however, would not let Knight move back into the home in order to protect his two older children. On February 29, 2000, she let herself into John's house, seduced him in the middle of the night, and once he was asleep, she stabbed him 37 times. Catherine then went downstairs, dragging his body behind her. She hung him from a meat hook in the living room, one of the tools of her trade as a butcher, removed his head, then cooked up a meal using his body, along with potato.
Don't tell me she fed it to her kids. Don't even tell me.
And pumpkin, some squash, and a bit of gravy that she intended to...
That soup sounds trash. No one's putting fucking squash in soup. And pumpkin in soup is crazy too, dude.
Later served to John's children.
Oh, nah, dude, I called it. First of all, John's children are her children. Is it their children? Can't be. He said John's children, can't be hers. Which is even more fucked.
She took John's headless body and lay down with it in bed. She swallowed a whole bunch of pills and fell asleep. When the police arrived the next morning at the behest of John's co-workers, who were worried because he didn't show up to work, they found Catherine covered in blood, John's body, and the remnants of her macabre meal. She claimed to have no memory of what she had done, but was charged and convicted of murder nonetheless.
So that was it. That was number one. I don't think that should have been number one. There was a whole lot worse than that one. But, dude, nonetheless, that is fucking crazy work. To kill a nigga and make a fucking soup, like a stew, dog, and then, like, give it to his children, dude, that's crazy work. That's hate on another level, dog. And to fall asleep, man, she was trying to kill herself with the pills. That's what I think. I don't know. Maybe that's what I think. But she low-key didn't. It didn't work. She fell asleep. They caught her ass, and it is what it is. Anyways, yo, if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, share it to your peoples, and also let me know if I should do more videos like this. Anyways, deuce.